Welcome to New York's number 2 sports show. The Rangers get back from the Four Nations break and get absolutely humiliated by the Buffalo Sabres, losing by a score of 8-2. And they were actually losing 5-0 at the end of the first period. So just a horrific performance by the Rangers, and a reminder of things that we've seen this season. And at a bare minimum, there needs to be selling done by the trade deadline, right? I've said before, you can try to stay competitive. Like, I have no problem with that, right? Like in the Eastern Conference, that to me, the last two spots, it's pretty weak in terms of the potential teams that might get in, where even this not so good Ranger team could find their way in. That all said, though, I think, again, being in seller's mode is the way that I would go. And this is proof positive as to why. And how many times have we seen as well? I think this is maybe the 10th time where they've allowed a goal within the first 2 minutes of a game. That just is completely unacceptable. And look, Buffalo's been playing better. Buffalo has been, it's one of two things. On the one hand, Buffalo has been playing well, right? So credit there. Like, despite the fact that they're low in the standings, their roster is better than that. But still, this is twice now that the Rangers got rocked by the Sabres this year. So they lose that season series. The Rangers won the middle game 3-2 in Buffalo. But outside of that, they lost 6-1 on November 7th at MSG and lose this game 8-2. And it was bad all the way around. Igor Shesterkin allows 5 goals. He was pulled after that 5th goal. Honestly, to me, he should have been taken out after the 3rd goal. Not that it really would have mattered much, but like I thought he was left in for too long, but just really, really bad all the way around. And could it be a little bit of sort of a post Four Nations fatigue? I mean, I guess, but really, you're only dealing with a few players that are in that bucket. And even those players did not play that much. Again, I understand like the emotional, mental side of coming off of that loss to Canada. For some of the players, I get it, but it's not nearly a legitimate enough excuse for me. And just to come out the way they did is pretty despicable, really. And the good thing for them is there's a quick turnaround at Pittsburgh tomorrow, in a late afternoon game against a team that the Rangers lost to before the break. At Madison Square Garden, and the Penguins themselves, they're coming off of an 8-3 loss at home to Washington. So it's two teams that just really got embarrassed going up against each other. The difference is the Rangers have somewhat more realistic, legitimate playoff aspirations, where Pittsburgh, who actually really isn't that far behind the Rangers, it's a little bit of a different feel. So we'll see what happens with that one. But as far as this game goes, Buffalo just took it to the Rangers right away. The first period was specifically completely unacceptable. And look, it's not a great look for Peter Laviolette either. It's all around. Bad on him, bad on the team. As far as the lineup was concerned, simply put, as far as the forwards, Jimmy Vesey was out the scratch. And I should mention, I mean, I kind of alluded to the fact that Igor Shesterkin was the goalie, which really wasn't a guarantee coming out of the break. He was supposed to be at about 1 to 2 weeks, but he ended up clearing that, timeline for sure. And he ended up playing this first game here, which again, even if he was healthy, I thought maybe they'd go quick for the first game, maybe Igor for the second, just to be safe. Now, with Igor getting pulled by the end of the first period, I have to think that they're going to go back to Shesterkin against the Penguins. And it's kind of interesting, like Nedeljkovic got pulled for Pittsburgh a little later in the game, but the original plans that both teams had may be thrown away, and the starters may end up actually starting both games due to their early exits. So Igor was in. As far as on defense, Zach Jones, I think I might have brought this up, I think, in the USA-Canada recap episode, but Zach Jones was sent down on a conditioning assignment, which the maximum on that is about 14 days. So expect him to be down there for, again, probably that time. And Matthew Robertson was called up. He's the 7th defenseman. He did not play. He was the healthy scratch. Matthew Robertson still has yet to appear in a regular season NHL game, to my recollection. So it was your typical defensemen that were in there, and most of them struggled big time. Um, I guess I'll discuss that first. I'll kind of bring it up in discussing a lot of those Sabres goals, but yeah, just bad all the way around, honestly. There isn't really one defenseman that I can say was good. Um, I guess we'll start from the top. And this is not necessarily an order of like worst to best. But look, Adam Fox, obviously, who was coming off of a rough, to put it mildly, Four Nations tournament. He had his struggles in this game. Again, that Lindgren Fox duo is problematic and one that uh, is not going to last much longer. Again, the longest, I mean, Ryan Lindgren, I'd be stunned if he's still a Ranger come next season. So they weren't very good. Keandre Miller had a really bad turnover on the first goal that kind of opened up the floodgates for the Buffalo Sabres. And look, Ryan Lindgren had a turnover, I think it was goal 3, where Lindgren had a turnover and Fox wasn't great on that goal either. Vakanainen and Schneider, I thought had a really, really rough games, both of them. I mean, Vakanainen was -4, Schneider was -3, but and it kind of brings me back to the point where, like, look, Zach Jones is really on the outs with the Rangers. But look, has Vakanainen done that well to the point where Zach Jones couldn't play? My answer to that is no. Like, I think he's come in here and done a nice job, but it's not to say that he has been this absolute, no doubt, can't be healthy scratch defenseman. So, not great for them. Will Borgen, I guess I have the least to say about him, which I guess is a good thing. And so he went up against his former team, the Buffalo Sabres. As far as the forwards, Jimmy Vesey was the healthy scratch. Now, the game before the break against Columbus, it had been Johnny Brodzinski who was the healthy scratch. This game, it was Vesey. So this one, the Lions kind of switched up throughout the game. It started out with actually Riley Smith playing on the first line. So he went from like the fourth line last game to the first line this game. It was Riley Smith with Panarin and JT Miller. And again, that kind of stayed true for a lot of the game, but you also did see in certain points that I can remember where Zibanejad was up there, but I guess it was mostly Riley Smith there. I don't know if that's going to stay against Pittsburgh. Line 2 was the same as what it had been in that last Columbus game, with Trocheck centering Cooley and Lafreniere. For Vincent Trocheck, clearly dealing with something. I mean, there was a report that he broke his finger. That might be, he's clearly in, I think it's his right hand that he's been flexing and like in clear pain. So a legitimate excuse, yes, but if you are going to play, like, you got to perform. And a rough night for Vincent Trocheck. And then you had Zibanejad centering Kreider and Kaliev. Now, Chris Kreider really wasn't talked about much in the post game. Come to think of it, Kreider did leave the game. I want to say with about 5-6 minutes left, he would leave and did not return. Now, that could have been in part because what the score was, and maybe if there had been more time, he would have come back. But something to keep in mind with the quick turnaround against Pittsburgh the next day. And the fourth line was Brodzinski with Carrick in the middle and Matt Rempe. So I wouldn't be surprised, based on how bad this game went, that VC slots himself back into the lineup, and then your logical guesses would be Brodzinski or Kaliev that would not play, and I guess we'll see who it would be. Your guess is kind of as good as mine. I guess I still felt like Kaliev at least was, like, again, trying to take shots on net and at least giving you that. So I think it'd be a little unfair to take him out, but they're going to have their reasonings. But yeah, just bad, every which way you look at it. So in net for Buffalo was Luukkonen. So, he played pretty well, actually. Just he looked confident, and just the rebound control was good. A clear difference between Luukkonen and Shesterkin in this game. I thought Igor was not good in this. For as long as he was in there, he wasn't good, and this was evident on goal 1. Jack Quinn scores his 10th goal of the season unassisted at 146. So really, this is a not a good turnover by Keandre Miller. He was passing the puck in the direction of Mika Zibanejad, who was not looking for it. leads to a little bit of a mini 2-on-1 with Vakanainen and the only one back. And Jack Quinn kind of flubs the shot. He kind of, I don't know if fans on it's the right way to say it, but he really doesn't get everything on it. And I guess it throws Igor off and it goes through him and in. I know that, again, it was a little bit misdirected and not what you'd expect of a normal shot, but still, that cannot go in. And that makes it 1-0 Buffalo. And things settled down scoreboard wise, but it was not good as far as what the Rangers were doing. They were outshot 16-8 in the first period. And then all of a sudden, the Sabres start to score and score and score. And at 11:58, it was Rasmus Dahlin who would make it 2-0. His 8th goal of the season, assisted by Jordan Greenway. This was actually a nice play by Greenway. He takes the shot, and Dahlin kind of somewhat innocently just kind of skating from right to left. It goes off of Dahlin and in. But it was a nice play by Greenway. And what happens is an example of where Igor Shesterkin, I felt like, should have just held the puck. I think he would have been in his best interest to just hold it, get a face off, but he puts it in the corner. Then Braden Schneider loses his stick. And so then it's chaos. And at this point, it's Rempe, Carrick, and Smith that are on the ice at this stage. And, again, Greenway made some nice patience, some nice moves, and he kind of had space to take the shot. And Dahlin, the defenseman, goes in, and it's his goal. That goal was not Igor's fault, but I didn't like the fact that he, again, continued play. Then at 15:32, maybe the biggest snub of Team USA, Tage Thompson scores his 27th goal of the season, assisted by Peterka. Kind of another spot where Igor puts his defenseman in the top position. Igor could have maybe held it. This one was a little less egregious in that way, but he put Lindgren and Fox in a tough spot. Lindgren loses the puck, and that's on him as well. Gets the puck taken away, and then it's basically Thompson versus Fox, and Thompson is way bigger than Fox, takes it to the net. Fox is forced to take a penalty, but better than that, Buffalo scores. Thompson backhands it through Igor. Not a good goal by Shesterkin. Needs to stop that. It would have been a Sabre power play, but that makes it 3-0. So bad job by Lindgren, Fox, and Shesterkin. 3-0 Sabre lead. And then the 4th goal is scored by Ryan McLeod. His 13th goal of the season, assisted by Dahlin and Zucker. And this was a lost faceoff by Trocheck. McLeod takes a shot from the point, and I thought when it was first taken that Alex Tuch got a piece of it, but he didn't. I guess it went under him. Schneider was battling for position against Alex Tuch, and it was a goal by McLeod that makes it 4-0 Buffalo. And then a penalty is taken by Sam Carrick, a cross-check of Peyton Krebs at 17:50. So Buffalo goes in the power play. Interesting that Trocheck was with JT Miller, which is something that I kind of thought might happen coming off of the Four Nations tournament where they were paired up. Now, but part of that maybe could have been because Sam Carrick, who's one of your penalty killers, was in the box. So that is certainly possible. But Buffalo does score on that power play, and it's Dahlin scoring again. His 9th goal of the season, second of the night, assisted by Thompson and Zucker. And this was just for Dahlin, finding some space, making a move around Trocheck, taking a wrist shot. And I don't know that Igor necessarily saw it. Either way, that makes it finally Buffalo. And Shesterkin at that point is pulled from the game. As I said earlier, I felt as if he should have been probably taken out at 3-0, but they left him in there, and he got embarrassed. 5 goals in less than 1 period. That's not good any way you look at it. So 5-0 going in the second period. The second period naturally was better for the Rangers. It couldn't get much worse, and the Rangers do score a couple of goals in the second period. And it was really both were kind of, Rangers special teams was pretty good in this period. So what happens is at 32-second mark, Riley Smith is called for a double minor for high sticking Rasmus Dahlin, but the Rangers do kill it off at this point. And then soon thereafter, Beck Malenstein trips Mika Zibanejad. So the Rangers go on the power play, and they do score. And it's Chris Kreider, his 17th goal of the season from Panarin and JT Miller, to make it 5-1 at 5:29 of the second period. So for Kreider, I believe that tied him with Camille Henry, I think was for most power play goals in Ranger history. I could have that wrong. He may have, or maybe I know he tied him. Let me see if I can confirm that right here. I might not be able to, but let me see if I can. Um, so look, you gotta give credit where it's due in terms of just the career that he's had and the longevity with the Rangers. I can't confirm that right now, but I believe that was the case. Anyway, that makes it 5-1. It was kind of the patented, Kreider just deft sort of tip in on a pass by Panarin that Kreider kind of got good, at that sort of play within the last like 3-4 years, where right near the net, kind of at a weird angle, that makes it 5-1. But we're not going to spend too much time on that. Then another penalty by Mallenstein where he boards Ryan Lindgren. Pretty dangerous play. Lindgren got up and he was all right, but at 9:22, another penalty from Mallenstein. And then Fox got in. Fox tried to come at the defense of Lindgren, but Mallenstein's a lot bigger than Fox. And then after that penalty expires, just after the Rangers score. So it goes down as an even strength goal, and it's Zibanejad scoring his 12th goal of the season from Fox and JT Miller. So a couple of assists from JT Miller, which again, it's a little bit misleading. I didn't think JT Miller was really anything special in this game, but he does get those 2 points. And a nice piece of hand-eye coordination by Zibanejad to stick with it and bat it in. So again, for him, Mika has been better, in the last month or two. Again, the bar was set really low. Ultimately, he's been a major negative this season, but overall, he really probably inspires more confidence than a lot of the rest of the team, given where it's at right now. So that made it 5-2. Rangers pushed for another one. There was a close situation where Panarin took a shot that trickled past Luukkonen, but he tried to poke it in, but Dahlin didn't let that happen. And so the score remained 5-2. Jonathan Quick was doing a good job to this point, but then to start the third, he lets the 3:47 into the third, lets up a really bad goal. Tage Thompson, his second goal of the game, his 20th of the season, assisted by Kulich. And that makes it 6-2. It just, an easy shot. I think it was a 2-on-2 situation, and it just goes through him, trickles in. And so any chance the Rangers had right there is done based on that goal. So it makes it 6-2. And then soon thereafter, at 5:40, Ryan McLeod scores his second goal of the night, his 14th of the season, assisted by Zucker and Owen Power. So it was Vincent Trocheck losing an offensive zone draw, Adam Fox not making the play, doesn't win the battle on the boards, and McLeod just goes past Trocheck in for the goal past Quick. So not a great job by Fox or Trocheck specifically there. Makes it 7-2. There would be a couple of Ranger power plays which they would not score on. Zach Benson roughs Urho Valkonen at 8:31. Rangers don't score. And then Benson strips Panarin at 12:30. They don't score. So weird how both periods, the same player took penalties for Buffalo. Mallenstein in the second, Benson in the third, within like about a 4-minute span of each other. But one more goal will be scored. Yoki Haru scores his second goal of the season from Benson and Gilbert in 1924, just kind of going into the zone, a wrist shot that beats Quick, and it makes the final score 8-2 Buffalo. And, like I said, really, really bad. The Rangers have, in a lot of cases, been able to respond, more so lately, coming off of bad losses. And again, Pittsburgh themselves really had an embarrassing loss. But, the Rangers, there's no excuse for them to not, put in a much better effort tomorrow. And really that, for me, will determine, I guess, sort of what is the feel. Because again, like, I still think they should be sellers. But look, like, if you beat, like, you can turn the narrative very quickly. But if you lose to Pittsburgh again, then this starts to take on a life of its own. And I'm very curious to see how this will be. Given the fact that, again, you had this really, really just, down 5-0 in the first period. That you don't see that often. Plus the fact that Pittsburgh beat the Rangers just a couple of weeks ago in what at that point was one of the worst losses of the season. So we'll see. And that one didn't have Crosby or Malkin. This one, I believe, it definitely will have Crosby and possibly Malkin as well. I haven't kept track of whether he's back in there. And like I said, I believe it will be Shesterkin. That would be my guess. So Rangers' record now drops to 27-25-4. They find themselves 4 points out of a playoff spot. And, it's just kind of they've been treading water now for a bit after what was a good stretch in January. Now lately, very middling. And this was, definitely up there in a season that's had a lot of bad losses. This one is going to be towards the top. Humiliating effort for the New York Rangers out of the Four Nations break. They lose to the Buffalo Sabres by a score of 8-2.